Hello everyone, I'm Rich Lamont. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. This fly for this video, I'm going to do a rusty rat. A couple weeks ago I was going through my old fly box and I came across the first salmon fly I ever tied, which was this rusty rat here. And I thought I'd recreate it. Back when I was first learning to tie salmon flies, Ron Lucas had actually told me that this was a great entry-level fly. It's got kind of all the parts of a salmon fly, from the tail to tinsel and floss body, and then a bit of a hair wing. So I thought I would revisit this, and I haven't tied one in a long time, and I figured this might help some of you that are contemplating getting into salmon flies. This is a good place to start. So we're going to start with a partridge or reddish low water single hook, size 1/0, and 150 denier Lagarden thread. I'm using 150 just because it's the smallest that I have in white, actually. And we're using white because of the lighter colored floss. You're going to need some Danville's floss. You could use silk if you like. This is like a orange, rusty orange color. I don't know the actual name of it. I got it in a variety kit. And I'm just using the rayon because that's kind of what's easily available. It's a little less expensive than silk, and it's easier to work with for learning. You'll also need some peacock sword, some peacock herl. You'll need a little bit of grizzly hackle, which in this case I'm actually using hen grizzly hackle. And again, I got this also in a variety pack from Whiting. For 16 bucks, you get a bag like this, and it comes with a whole bunch of different stuff. I don't use very much of it all that often, but I do use some on occasion. It's actually given me a bunch of stuff that I didn't have when I needed it. So that grizzly hen hackle is one of them. I really do like that. It's nice and webby and lays down real nice. So, also the wing for this is usually supposed to be gray fox, but gray squirrel is a little bit more abundant and a little easier to come by. So that's what I'm going to use, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so tying in, we're going to tie in at the front right here behind the eye and clip that off. And we're going to tie in the tinsel, which for this I'm using some Vivis, medium Vivis French tinsel. You could also use Uni-French oval tinsel. This is small, but I would use medium for a fly this size. And that is that's pretty readily available just about anywhere. You can do a Google search on it and find it. I get it from Malindas Fly Shop in Altmar, New York. You guys, I'll leave a link to her page and her contact info in the description section. Now, when you're tying in your tinsel on hooks like this, it's good to kind of make up this this gap here. I'll show you. With the return on the eye, that creates kind of a bump out up towards the eye. So by tying your tinsel in up here, that helps reduce that and kind of evens out the whole hook shank, so you don't wind up with a funky shaped body up here and you're fighting materials a little bit. Which with this fly I don't think that's going to matter all that much, but it's good practice. Okay, so we're going to tie this in and take this all the way to the back. And I'm going to probably start right about where that hook shank starts to bend a little bit. And the rest of this tinsel I'm going to try to get up along the side here, just so it matches the rest of the side of the fly. And then right here, we'll just kink that a little bit. And then we're going to come forward and wrap this. I'm only going to do like 3 turns of tinsel. And then I'm going to tie that off. And I'm going to leave that right there. I'm actually going to tuck it back a little bit. And keep that out of the way for a bit. Now we're going to take our peacock sword. And we're only going to clip out a couple of pieces. I think I'm going to do like 3 of each side. Three rights, 3 lefts, just to balance it out. Otherwise, you'll have peacock pieces, piece of peacock sword that's sticking off to one side of the fly, and so then you take those 6 pieces, face them toward each other. Make sure your ends are all, your tips are all lined up. And then we'll tie those on so that way they're facing just, so they're ending just beyond the hook point, or the hook bend. There we go. And then we're going to wrap that all the way forward as well, and you can leave all that on there. When you're wrapping this, be sure to cover all of that peacock herl that is up here for a sword. You don't want to have too many of these fibers sticking up. If you can help it, try to get all of them so there are none. You also want to make sure you've got a smooth underbody. I'm going to go back over this again. And then back up to the front. Okay, then we'll get our floss. With the Danville rayon, it comes as 4 strands, which can kind of be a pain in the butt, because then you have to pull off 4 strands, cut 1, and then you've got 3 that are uneven. It's one of the reasons I like buying some of the silks. They come as a single strand. It's a little bit easier to manage. But if you're tying multiple flies, then I guess that's okay. You can cut off, 4 sections and tie 4 flies. Okay, so we've got our section of floss here. Now before doing this, even though it's rayon and not silk, you still want to wash your hands. Use gloves if you can. I don't have any. I have to go get some. And we'll tie that in. And I'm just folding this back a little bit to kind of help lock that in place. Just so it doesn't pull out. Okay. Now once you've got your floss tied in, you want to go through and make sure you straighten it out by using your fingers to twist it. And you can flatten it out, and if you can see, that starts to flatten out and gives you much better, it lays the floss down much better. So then we'll just go through and we will touching turns all the way back. Rocking it back and forth if necessary to kind of get some of those fibers to settle into place a little bit better. And we're going to wrap this all the way back to the butt. Well, to the tail, since this fly has no butt. And go all the way back and then all the way forward again. And then as you're wrapping it, make sure you're paying attention to how flat it is, and make sure that each turn isn't bulked up or lumped up. If you're not using gloves, like I said, make sure your hands are washed. But also if you've got rough spots around your fingers, around your nails or your fingertips, you can smooth some of those out with either some really fine sandpaper or even just an emery board for doing your nails. That helps tremendously. It makes a huge difference so you don't wind up breaking the floss strands. I apologize if you guys can hear my oxygen hissing away today. I had to turn it up a little bit higher. Okay. And now we're making the turn back. Now on your way back, it's kind of the path that things start to fill in a little bit better. You'll start to see it'll become more solid. And this is when you can kind of really lay the fibers down into all the gaps in between the other wraps. Because if you look at this in a much smaller scale, at much closer with a magnifying glass, you can actually see the individual fibers and the little lumps and bumps that you can't normally see just by looking at it with your bare eyes. And just take very careful wraps. Very slow, very easy, and just with all of it, just take your time. Okay. I'll trim away that floss, but hang on to that because you're going to use that in just a minute. We'll need another section of that. Okay, so take a minute now and we'll just burnish this really quick. Fishing fly you don't have to burnish. I don't think the salmon or steelhead are really going to care if the floss is smooth or not. Okay. Next we're going to lay down our peacock. Now there's two ways I've seen this done. You can run your tinsel up to here and then have tinsel over the peacock herl, or you can have it without the tinsel over the peacock herl. For a fishing fly, I recommend doing the tinsel over the peacock herl to protect it. But for a display fly, which I guess this is going to be, I'm going to actually wrap the tinsel first, and I'm not going to put any tinsel in the peacock herl. That is my own personal preference to do on this one in particular. I'm just going to put a little wax on there quick. I'll just help that peacock herl stick to it good. Now I'm going to use the herl from the upper part of the feather here, where it's a bit thicker, and it's much you get a much better looking herl wrap by using that up there. Farther up the feather you go, the better and fluffier peacock herl you're going to get. 3 pieces ought to do it just fine. And what we're going to do is just take our fingers and run the peacock herl backwards. Pull our fingers against the grain to splay out all that herl. Tie that in. Let me trim off these butts here. And then we're going to take the peacock herl and twist it. At first it's not going to want to twist. If you go farther up into the thinner part and start twisting up there first, and then work your way back down it, it'll twist up into kind of a rope. And then we'll use the rotary function on the vise. And we'll start wrapping. Making sure to twist it some more as we go. Actually, I'm going to go back over it a little bit, about to the middle section. Just thicken that up a little. And we'll go ahead and tie that off. Okay, now you're going to grab that leftover piece of floss, which if you don't have any left over, just grab another piece. I want to double this up to make it a little bit thicker, so what you do is just take 2 strands or double them over, and then just take them and roll them back and forth in your fingers. And rolling them back and forth will mix them together, creating one strand. Okay, now when you tie these in, you want this floss, this last strand of floss here, to make it to about the halfway point up the tail. So if you can get that about halfway up the tail, and then, or you can just tie it in and then clip it off halfway up, that's perfectly fine as well. I'm going to tie that, fold that back just to lock it in. Okay, now you want to take your squirrel tail and you want to measure out enough to get to the edge of the tail. So whatever it's going to take to get to, you want some nice long fibers. So the very tip of the squirrel tail is going to have the longest, and then as you work your way down you'll have shorter and shorter. So find the right length of squirrel tail that's going to match the size of the fly, and clip off a section. I went and I hair stacked it already and got it ready for this. So I'll take it out of the hair stacker. I don't want to bore you guys with the banging and annoy the rest of the house here as well. We'll pull apart any extras or excess. This might be quite a bit much. There's going to be some that's going to come out though. You'll see. Alright, so you want that to measure to about the end of the tail. So here's about where you want to cut it off. Measure that out. Cut that off even. Now you want your thread to loop up over that, and if you've got trouble doing that, you can spin your bobbin counterclockwise. So if you spin it this way a few times, when you go to do a loose wrap, it'll automatically want to sit right over it in that spot. Okay, we're going to do 3 looser wraps. And then we're going to hit it with a little bit of head cement. I think this wing is a bit on the full side, but I kind of like it, so I'm going to leave it. And we'll see how the rest goes. But we'll throw that head cement on there. That's going to hold that all into place. And while that's getting ready, we will prepare the hackle. So we'll get the hen hackle. All of these feathers here that I'm going to use are about the same size, so any one of these will do. I'll pick this one. I like the hen hackle because it's nice and webby. And you'll see there how nice that is. I'll pull away all of this fuzz. And then up by the tip here, I'm not going to use this shorter stuff, so I'll use this as my starting point, and we'll just peel away some of that. Okay. And then we're going to take that and fold it. So all you do is just hold the butt end back here. You can use your hackle pliers. Hold that butt end. Hold that a little higher up. And then hold the other in your pointer. In your left hand, your pointer and thumb, and then just stroke these down, and that'll fold that hackle, doubling it over. And there, we've effectively doubled the hackle. Now, this should be about set. And add a little wax to that as well, just to make sure that that doesn't slip. Ooh, that's a lot of wax. Okay. Now we can go through, grab the wing, and just gently pull, and any of the looser fibers will come right out. And we'll take our hen hackle, and we're going to tie this in by the tip. That little thin part here that we left open, that we peeled away. And then making sure that we keep all of this pulled back and straight, and just wrap it right on. A little bit more wax. Now we're just building a base for the head. And the head is going to be some red thread. So for this I'm just using Danville 6.0. And I'm just going to tie this in over the white. Sort of disaster this turns out. It's one of those times that all your work can kind of fall apart. Well, I've successfully done one thing that I did not want to, and that is got way too close to the head. Or way too close to the eye, rather. Typically, I think you want the head to be a little bit farther away from the eye. And we'll do a quick whip finish. And then we'll throw a coat of Sally Hansen's on there. I only recently started using this stuff, and I gotta say, I really like it. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. It's just a nail polish thing. I think we got it at Dollar General. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Rusty Rat. Like I said, it's a relatively easy pattern, doesn't use a whole lot of material. And just about everything that is used in this is pretty easily available. And you get good practice. You know, it's a good one to learn tinseling, it's a good one to learn your floss work, and then hair wings, which I admit I'm not the greatest at, but I think I'm getting better. So, old Rusty Rat from, I don't know, 14 or 15 years ago versus today. It was a lot of fun, actually. Might have to do a few of these. There's quite a few rats in the series. There's black rats and silver rats, and I believe there's a blue one, and I may just do a series of these. But I thought you guys would enjoy this one, and those of you that are trying to get into salmon flies and would like to know, where to start, I think this is a good place to start. These partridge low water hooks, they come in smaller sizes. They're a great hook to learn on. They're affordable, and they're pretty easy to come by. So I'll leave some places that you can get a hold of those in the description, and along with some other places that I got some of the materials like the tinsels and stuff. So with that, I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful evening. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you got any comments, leave some comments. If this is something that you've used before, something that you tie, leave me some comments on how you prefer to tie it. Do you like using flat tinsel at the tip? Do you put tinsel into your peacock row? I'm curious. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. And as always, if you can share the channel, that would be great. If you haven't subscribed, think about subscribing. That helps me. That also lets YouTube know that I do have a good active channel, and that kind of helps everybody. So it'll help me keep creating more content for you, and lets me know that you guys like what's coming out. So keep your post notifications on for the next one. I should have another fly out tomorrow or on Friday. I won't be doing anything Thursday since it is Thanksgiving. So hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful night. Until the next video, take care, everyone.